Good evening, this is Ink and Past. On this day, May 24, 1884, Vicksburg, Mississippi. The river moves slow here in late May. The heat has settled in. Vicksburg is 21 years past the siege. The wounds are still visible. But the town is reading, the papers are full. Washington is arguing over money. London is mourning a famous American. Salt Lake City has a scandal worth printing. And Memphis, just up the river, is reporting numbers that are turning heads. On this day, the Memphis Daily Appeal carried stories that reached far beyond Mississippi. This is what they said. One of those stories crossed the Atlantic entirely. It concerned a man named Judah P. Benjamin, and on this day, London was still mourning him. Benjamin had been, in another life, the Confederate Secretary of State. He served Jefferson Davis with singular loyalty. When the Confederacy collapsed in 1865, he ran. He fled through Florida, crossed to the Bahamas, and made his way to England. He arrived with almost nothing. He was 54 years old. Most men in that position disappear. Benjamin did not. He read English law. He sat for the bar. He built a second career entirely from the ground up, and he became, by most accounts, the finest foreign barrister England had ever seen. The ablest English lawyers said it plainly. In his final years of practice, Benjamin had no rival in the highest courts. He died in Paris on May 6, 1884. He was 72 years old. According to the Memphis Daily Appeal, the London Times devoted 2 full columns to a laudatory sketch of Benjamin's life. Other papers followed. Commentators agreed on one point without argument. No American had ever made a deeper impression on English legal life, not one. It was reported that the eulogies praised his courage as much as his intellect. He had lost everything. He had rebuilt it. That was the story London chose to tell about him. Every day on this channel, we open the records for that date. If you want to know what happened on your birthday, your anniversary, the day you were born, subscribe. A new episode goes up every single day. Judah P. Benjamin had no monument in the South that mourned him. He had no grave on American soil, but the London Times gave him 2 full columns. And the men who had beaten him in the courtroom called him irreplaceable. That is its own kind of monument. On this day in Vicksburg, news from Memphis told a story of money moving south. According to the Memphis Daily Appeal, April clearinghouse figures showed Memphis posting an aggregate of $6,118,433. The prior year, that number had been $4,425,000. That is a gain of nearly 39% in a single year. Louisville reported large gains alongside Memphis. Meanwhile, 6 of the 8 cities reporting decreases were in the east. It was reported that observers saw a clear pattern. New commercial weight was shifting toward the south and west. New York's grip on American finance was loosening. Not by force, by ledger. The second story out of Memphis that day carried a different kind of heat. Samuel Randall, former Speaker of the House, had crossed the aisle. He brought 39 fellow Democrats with him. Together they voted with the Republican minority and killed the Morrison Tariff Reform Bill. The Memphis Daily Appeal called Randall's faction traitors. A correspondent from Pine Bluff, Arkansas, pushed back on that word. The paper held firm. It cited Webster directly. A traitor, it said, is one who betrays his trust. Republicans had promised a 26% reduction on war tariffs back in 1880. They delivered 5.5%. Randall had helped make that betrayal permanent. The editorial argued that the poorest Americans paid the price. It was reported that the Democratic Party's internal rage over this vote was far from settled. The wound was fresh. And it was deep. Now, 2 more stories from that same day deserve your attention. According to the Memphis Daily Appeal, the United States government was paying a staggering sum to its Civil War veterans. Last year alone, the figure reached $33 million. The projected bill for the following year, $40 million. That number dwarfed every European power combined. Great Britain paid $17 million. France paid $12 million, Germany paid less than $9 million. Russia came closest at just under $20 million. Italy paid barely $1 million. The United States stood alone at the top. The veterans' rolls showed no sign of shrinking. Critics watched the number climb with alarm. Supporters called it an obligation. Everyone agreed it was unlike anything the world had seen. And then there was a stranger story. Out of Salt Lake City came word of a Dr. Sharp. He already had 4 wives. That was apparently not enough. He set his sights on a young servant girl named Mary White. She worked in one of his households. She was described as fresh-blooded and rosy-cheeked. Her father suspected the doctor of supernatural bewitchment. Mary White wanted nothing to do with him. She resisted. She held firm. It was reported that the courtship had given Sharp, quote, great trouble. The outcome remained uncertain. Two stories, one about the cost of a nation's wounds, one about a young woman who simply said no. That was May 24, 1884. We'll be back tomorrow with another date from the past. Subscribe to Ink and Past and follow history one day at a time. This is Ink and Past. Judah P. Benjamin never returned to American soil. He died in Paris on May 6, 1884. He was 72 years old. The London Times gave him 2 full columns. England mourned him as the greatest foreign barrister ever to practice at their bar. No American had made a deeper mark there. As for the Morrison tariff bill, it was dead. Samuel Randall and his 39 Democrats had buried it alongside the Republicans. The poor man's crust remained taxed, the monopolies remained enriched. Vicksburg had watched it all from the river's edge. The war, the siege, the Reconstruction, the fights that never seemed to end. On this day, May 24, 1884, the records were open and the past spoke plainly. That was May 24, 1884. We'll be back tomorrow with another date from the past. Subscribe to Ink and Past and follow history one day at a time. This is Ink and Past.